welcome back to Riding the Pine. This is our review of Game 31 of the 2020-21 Chicago Blackhawks season. Tonight, the Blackhawks fell to the Tampa Bay Lightning in Tampa Bay, Florida, by a score of 4-2. But before we get to the actual review, if you could do me a really big favor and hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Also, please hit that notification bell so you don't have to come looking for us. We can come looking for you, and you will know when and where we upload every single video. That'll definitely help everyone out that is involved with our show, as well as all of you. And if you do wish to let us know your thoughts and opinions on the game, please feel free to leave a comment down below. We would be very happy to interact with you and know your thoughts about tonight's game. I am flying solo currently right now. Joe may jump in a little bit later. He's having internet trouble due to the winds that we've been having. That seems to be affecting everybody right now. I've had some siding damage to my home due to the winds that we've been having of late. So hopefully the rest of you are having a little bit better luck than myself and Joe. But with that, let's get into the review. So, look, I don't have much to say tonight, to be quite honest. Um, the Hawks just, we've been talking about this night in and night out. Dylan Strom came back tonight. You know, that was a great thing to see. So they got some money back off the injured reserve. They got a key part of their team back, but it's still not enough. And Strom scored tonight. Great to see. He was excellent at the faceoff dot as well. I believe finished at 57% against a very good Tampa Bay team. So, hey, gotta love that from Dylan Strom. The few, I know he played wing most of the night, but the few faceoffs he did take, he won a good majority of them. So good on him for that. But yeah, the Hawks, look, the Hawks don't have the offense to keep up with these teams. They just don't. And, you know, everybody can blame the defense and they can blame Lankinen, or, you know, you can complain about the officials and the fact that apparently Tampa Bay can run goalies now and can hold and jab and do all this stuff. But hey, at the end of the day, the reality is if you're going to win in today's NHL, you have to be able to score. You have to be able to outplay the officials some nights. And, you know, if you obviously, I think there's some definite gripes about the officiating tonight. One of them being the fact that Lankinen was run at least 3 times tonight, one of them on a goal. Uh, there were at least 2 or 3 blatant holding calls that were not called on Tampa, and they were taking runs at Murphy all night. So, and even Hagel, I think, got run at one point where there was a call on it. But, you know, all night, you know, there were issues. But you have to be able to out a good teams outplay bad officiating. That's just the truth. And I'm sorry, but this team does not have the offense to keep up with these teams. They just don't. Um, Now, could they win if they had Jonathan Taves and Kirby Doc? Possibly, possibly. We've talked about that that they would definitely be a much more competitive team with Doc and Taves. I still think they're one more offensive juggernaut player, an elite offensive player away. I don't think Doc and Taves is enough. I think Doc and Taves makes them a much more competitive team against these bigger, better teams. But I don't think that puts them over the hump. That they're not a cup contender even with them in the lineup. I think you got to add another elite offensive weapon. And once you have that, then I think you would be a complete team. And obviously, I think the rookies on defense, as well as they've played, obviously, you want them to get a little bit more seasoning and a little bit more uh, experience, if you will. But yeah, the only kind of major comment that I was noticing tonight that I thought was should have been rectified and wasn't. David Camp should not be in the top 6. I've talked about this for a couple games now. Initially, even as far back as 3-4 games ago, when he was centering Kubalik and Hagel, I said then that I would like to see someone else center them. So Colleton must have, I don't know, heard me and decided that Camp should instead center Kane and DeBrincat. And I don't know what's going on there, but look, I like David Camp. David Camp is an awesome player in the bottom 6. Great player. Good on your PK, good grinder, can do a lot of things. But he has no skill. David Camp has gotten more breakaways the last 3-4 years since he's come into the league than probably any player in the National Hockey League. And I don't think he scored on one of them. He has no skill. None. Zero. It's almost uncanny how much little skill he has. Zero. Why is he centering your 2 best players? Why? Someone needs to explain that to me. Why? I don't understand. And even further, Dylan Strome was back tonight. So even if you were going to roll with Kane and DeBrincat, with Camp in between the middle of them to start the game, why in the third period, in the final 10 minutes, did you not go nuclear and put Dylan Strome between those two? Why? Or look at Kurashev, Suter, anybody. Any of them have better, literally any of them would have been better than Camp to create offensive opportunities. Any of them. And look, Jeremy Colleton is not good at line combinations or line time of ice management. He isn't. We've talked about this routinely. That's his biggest weakness, I think, right now as a head coach, is his inability to manage his bench and the time of ice of certain players. Huge problem. He's gotten better at it at least, but he's still not very good at it. Lots of room for improvement there. But still, that's not why this team's losing. It's just not. Lankinen is not the reason this team's losing. The defense isn't the reason this team is losing. This team cannot score more than 2 goals a game. When you can't score more than 2 goals a game, you aren't going to win. That's just fucking reality. You have to average to win in the NHL. You have to average at least probably about a 3.5 to 4 goals a game. That's what you have to average to win consistently in this league. And the Blackhawks don't average that. They can't. They can average that when they play Detroit. They could average that when they play Columbus. They can average that when they play Nashville. But they can't average that when they play Florida, when they play Tampa, when they play Carolina. Those teams clog the ice up. And this team is not big enough up front, and they don't have the skill to get around those types of big teams. They just don't have it. They don't. And not only that, both goals tonight, both were on the power play. The PK again, you give up 1 goal, you're done. You're done. We've talked about this over and over again. I mean, you can't rely. The power play is supposed to be what put your team. The power play is supposed to put your team over. That's what pushes you over the other team is the power play, right? Special teams pushes you over the other team. It's not what is supposed to be your meat and potatoes. The power play is supposed to give you the cushion to win, the penalty kill, etc. Special teams. It's not supposed to be your bread and butter. And that's how the Hawks are scoring right now is on the power play. When you can't score 5-on-5, you've got problems. And the Blackhawks cannot score consistently 5-on-5. They just can't. They can't. I mean, how many of their goals lately have been on the power play? Over half for sure. I'm sure of it. All of them tonight. And I don't think Andrei Vasilevsky played that well tonight. I don't think he was unbeatable. It is what it is, folks. I mean, and this team's in trouble. They're in trouble. Columbus is now only 2 points behind the Hawks for that last playoff spot. 2 points. One game. The Blue Jackets were once, I believe, 7 or 8 points behind the Hawks. They are now 1 game away. 1. The Blackhawks have one more game coming up here against Tampa, and then another 2 against Florida, who they've yet to beat this season. This is going to probably end their season at this road trip. This 11 games of this month is probably going to doom their playoff chances. You know what? Keep in mind, it's not the worst thing in the world. The Hawks missing the playoffs is not the worst thing in the world because they need draft capital. They have to. They have to get somebody in here that can score. I've said this over and over and over and over, year after year after year after fucking year. They do not have the offense that is necessary to win in the NHL right now. They do not. And now, it's a good thing to have a lot of prospects, but it's a bad thing when all your prospects are in one position. And that is what the Hawks are in right now. And now they've got problems. You've got 5 guys, 5 who should be playing in the NHL regularly right now. 5. And only 2 of them are currently playing. Bodan should be playing. Kalynuk should be playing. Kalynuk has 6 points in 4 games in Rockford, and he's not playing in the NHL. He's gotten a whole 1 game this season. Bodan has looked better than Boquist, in my opinion, when he's played. And he is not playing. Lucas Carlson, I mean, the guy's been in the system for what? This is his 3rd year, not getting consistent playing time. Alec Regula, he's going to be there too very soon. This team has an abundance. This is like, excuse the crudeness here, but this is like walking into the male locker room at the gym, in a full gym, and then it's fucking balls and dicks galore. That's the way it is right now with this defense. And there ain't anything of the other gender. There isn't any top forward prospect in the system right now, other than Lucas Reichel, who isn't even signed. It seems like they're probably going to sign him to bring him over next year, which is great. But again, we don't know what's going on with Taves. We don't know what's going on with Doc. I mean, we don't know. I guess we know what's going on with Doc, but we don't know what he's going to do when he comes back. Don't expect Doc to light the world on fire when he comes back. Just don't. I'm just warning you, don't. Just, relax on that. This team has a bright future ahead of itself, but it has to. It has to start putting high draft picks into scoring forwards. It has to. And you know what? Joe is constantly asking, do you trade Janmark? Do you trade Soderberg? Do you trade these guys to bring in draft capital? And at this point, the answer, in my opinion, is 100% yes. If somebody is willing to give me, now I'm not going to trade Janmark for a second round pick. I'm going to make that straight up. I'm not trading Janmark for a second round pick. I will trade him for a first round pick for sure. If you want Janmark, who's on pace for 20 goals in a normal NHL season, I will eat all of his money even, and I will, because he's on a 1-year deal, right? The Hawks can eat his money. I want a first round pick. And all the beat writers are talking about the Hawks. Let me clarify that. I want a first round pick in 2022. I don't want one this year. This year's draft is not very good. It's not a very good draft. And on top of that, we haven't been able to scout most of the players because of COVID. I do not want first round picks in this year's draft. I just don't. I don't. I want a first round pick in next year's draft. Next year, 2022, that draft class is loaded. Loaded. That's the draft class I want my picks to be in. So if somebody wants to trade me a first round pick for Matthias Janmark from 2022, I will do that all day. If somebody wants to trade me, as the beat writers have been speculating, a 2022 first round draft pick to take on a bad contract, absolutely. As long as that contract does not prohibit me in 2 years from signing somebody, absolutely. Absolutely. Louis Eriksson, if Vancouver wants to trade me Louis Eriksson for me to give me a first round pick to take his contract, I will absolutely do that. Absolutely. I am completely willing to listen on that front. But yeah, to me, if you're Stan Bowman, this trade deadline, the goal should be to add at least 2 first round picks. One for Janmark. And then look, I'm going to try to sign Janmark in the offseason. And I'll go straight and tell him, like, look, bro, we will bring you back next year if you want to come back. But right now, we've got to add more forward offensive talent to our organization, because we have a severe deficit in that area. Severe. And like, here's the other thing, folks. Patrick Kane is going to decline at some point. You have to plan for that. You have to. That's what I'm saying. They have to start putting draft capital into high-end offensive players. They have to. So with that in mind, if I'm Stan Bowman, I'm going out and I'm looking to acquire 2 first-round picks in the 2022 draft. That would give me 3 first-round picks in the 2022 NHL draft. That is where I would be focused on if I was Stan Bowman. And if I get those 2 by trading Janmark and then picking up a bad contract, absolutely. And you know what? If somebody else wants to trade me a short-term deal for a not heavy contract, a 2 to 3 million type deal, I'll take that too for a second or a third round pick. Absolutely. Probably a second round pick. But I'm definitely going to want 2 first round picks this offseason. Or not this offseason, but this trade deadline and offseason. I want a pick for Janmark, and I want a pick for taking on salary cap space that we can now weaponize. That is what this team needs to do. And if you can get 2 top 20, 3 even, if you can get 3 top 20 picks, look, Vancouver is going to miss the playoffs. I don't see them having a huge turnaround. So a first round pick from them should be somewhere in the top 20 in a loaded draft class. Conversely, if you can get another first round pick from a team that is middling, that's in the 20s, that would be great. And then your own pick, which is going to be probably a top 20 pick. I mean, so that would be 4 top 20 picks between this year and 2022 if you can pull those 2 moves off. And I'm telling you right now, they better take a forward with all 4 of them because they don't need any more defensemen. Wyatt Kaiser's not in the organization yet, and neither is Alex Vlasic. They don't need any more high-end defensive prospects. You can get those lower in the draft. Kaiser, I think, was a third-round pick. You don't need to draft those in the top round. They need to start getting offensive talent in the first round of the draft to go with Lucas Reichel. Just straight telling you the way it is. Anyway, guys, I don't really, like I said, I don't really have much to add tonight. The numbers for Kevin Lankinen look terrible. I don't think he played horrible at all. I thought Dylan Strome, like I said, played really well. I thought DeBrincat played really well. Kurashev had a really nice game. Look, this team played as what was best as it could, but they don't have the offense necessary to compete with these teams. They don't. So that should tell Stan Bowman we need to go out and we need to get offense. And the best way to do that with the position they're in with their salary cap is to add draft capital. And it's not bad to have good young offensive talent either. So that's what I would do if I were Stan Bowman. Hopefully that's what they do. We will see. But with that, that's going to wrap this up. Again, the Blackhawks' next game is coming up again against the same Tampa Bay Lightning. And look, if they lose again, they lose again. It's at this point, it is what it is, But again, that'll wrap this up tonight. Hawks lose 4-2. Tampa scored an empty net goal at the end to put the 2-goal lead up on the Hawks. Uh, Real close game, but the Hawks just they can't play with these big teams. They just can't. We've seen it all all month. All month we've seen it. So, anyways, with that, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Please get your masks. Keep wearing them. Get your vaccine if you are in line. I don't know if Pritzker made an announcement. I read somewhere that everyone 16 and under in the state of Illinois, if it hasn't been announced, it will be announced shortly, that Pritzker is going to allow everyone 16 years and over to get a COVID vaccine starting in April. Let's see here. I think it was announced. Yes, here it is. Is this the Sun Times? What am I at? This is St. Louis. Oh, Illinois residents 16 years and older will be eligible for COVID vaccines April 12th. So right before tax day. Um, COVID-19 restrictions are also going to be rolled back. Uh, yeah. So everything is going well there. I recommend, if you can, to get your vaccine when you are eligible and just stay healthy. I think it's very important for everybody to take care of each other during these times. It's been a long year for everybody, myself included. And I think, a lot of your friends don't really, there's as Robin Leonard said, there's a stigma against, mental health problems. And a lot of people, I'm sure, have been dealing with depression and things of that nature. So, um, please keep your friends and your family close. Reach out to them if you haven't heard from them in a while. Um, and yeah, take care of yourself too. But with that, everybody, thanks again for listening. We will be back for the next Hawks game coming up here on Saturday, March 20th at 3 p.m. against the Tampa Bay Lightning. We will have a review of that game for you all Sunday. Well, I don't like making promises, but maybe we will have that review up late Saturday night. Hopefully. Let's hope. But until then, everybody, again, as I said, stay safe, stay healthy, and let's go Hawks and enjoy your weekend as we roll here on into the weekend. And also check out the Snyder Cut on HBO Max if you have it. I'm a big movie guy. Um, that is a creative vision. Zack Snyder. I know I'm doing like several false finishes here. I apologize for that. But seriously, do me a really big favor. If you're listening to this and you have HBO Max, please, if you're a blockbuster film fan and you like your superhero films, please go check out the Snyder Cut, Zack Snyder's Justice League. His daughter, he was working on this film 4 years ago. His daughter committed suicide. It was a very, very tragic uh, event for him and something that happened in his life. And he came back and made the film that he intended to make. He took no money from Warner Brothers to produce and make this film. It's 4 hours long. It's a great thing that you can do over this weekend. Sit down with your family and enjoy. And it's great to just support people, uh, show them some love because, that's not an easy thing to lose a child. Um, and then for him to come back and to finish his vision and give us that film and not be paid on top of it is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So props to Zack Snyder for that. I will be watching that very, very soon. And I hope all of you do as well. Show your support for these good fellow human beings. And with that, I promise this is the last time. Take care of your family. Have fun this weekend. We will see you Saturday night with our review of the next game for the Chicago Blackhawks. Until then, let's go Hawks.